Hello, welcome to the fourth episode of Boots, Banter, and Beyond, the stories of Irreverent Warriors, the show where stories about how humor and camaraderie have changed the lives for you better. I am your host, Eric Schessel. Today on the show, we're excited to have Simon, aka Mac. He's an active duty Navy corpsman, as well as the founder and president of the GOATS Charity Athletic Club Incorporated. He's been highly active in the veteran community since around 2017, as well as obviously being active duty. We're going to chat with him as he talks about his military service, how the GOATs came to be, and his stories of Irreverent Warriors. Stay tuned. Mac, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, not too bad, Eric. You know, I'm living, brother. As you know, I've been in a bit of a rut lately, but been keeping the wagon moving forward thanks to people like you and the herd.
Love the herd. So you're down in Virginia, right? You're down in Norfolk.
Yep, down in living in Virginia Beach right now. Looking like I might move into Norfolk actual here in maybe about a month though.
Okay, cool. Are you excited about that move? The nicer weather and all that down there?
I kind of like the seasons and I like snow, so it's not too bad though. The summertime is definitely nice.
So obviously, you know, I said you're Navy corpsman and everything. Give us our listeners a little bit of your background on your military service. When did you join? What made you pick corpsman? All that good stuff. Give us some juice here.
Oh, well, you're in for a little bit of a story here. So I joined in 2003.
Okay.
Grew up in New Jersey in the 80s and 90s. And if you want to hit all of the stereotypes, I probably marked them all plus some. I have a very colorful past. I was working at a school without any sort of degree to include. So I was working at a high school, but I didn't even have a high school diploma myself. Again, colorful past. Well, the school board found out I was working at the school without any sort of diploma. And they told the director, hey, you've got to get rid of them. The director of the school said, hey, if you go get your GED, we'll help you get through college. We'll bring you on in a capacity where you're not teaching until you get through college and everything. I was like, okay, easy day. So I got my GED. As soon as I found out that I passed my GED with flying colors, I was driving back to the school. And I took a little detour and ended up at a Marine Corps recruiting station. After being homeless for a little while, crayon sounded really delicious. So I was like, hey, I want to be a jarhead. Gunny was like, all right, let's get you to take the ASVAB. Scored a 90 on it. And he was like, hey, you can do whatever you want to do in the Marines. And I was like, cool, I want to be a rifleman. He goes, yeah. Every Marine's a rifleman. What do you want to do? You can do anything. I was like, yeah, I want to be a grunt. I want to be an 0311. Like, let me go. And he's like, well, you might be one of the dumbest smart people I've ever met, but all right. Well, Mother Marine Corps runs you for your security clearance before you go to boot camp, or at least they did at that time. Like I said, colorful past. And Gunny was like, hey, I know you're supposed to ship out in 2 days, but Corps not going to take you. As a matter of fact, with your record, I don't think even the Army's going to take you. And I was like, oh, I thought that maybe the criminal record would make me more qualified to be a Marine. And he goes, yeah, they were good with everything aside from, you have kind of multiple accounts of assault on peace officers. And so they think that you might have a problem with authority, and that's not going to jive with the Corps. So I left pretty downtrodden. But 2 weeks later, Gunny calls me and he goes, hey, my cousin just got a job recruiting out of Central Philly. He said he can get you in the Navy. Tell him that you want to be a corpsman. I go, well, what's that? He goes, don't worry about what that is. You get to play with the Marines. I was like, sounds awesome, Gunny. So I walked in. I told him I wanted to be a corpsman. They were like, all right. He got me in. I ended up coming in as a deck seaman because I only had a GED, but I was more or less guaranteed the corpsman thing. I started learning about what it was. And I was like, well, this is super, super exciting. I like helping people. And was going to be able to get given the opportunity to do that all through doing it, being able to help people at their worst. And I wouldn't change a thing about making the choice to become a corpsman or the route that I took to get here. So, hoo-yah.
That is quite the definitely quite the story there. But I mean, but that shows a lot. I mean, you know, you as a human being yourself, you persevere through a ton of stuff. You know, everything you do, you pour your heart and soul into, and to see early on in your life that you were denied what you originally wanted, but then still another door opened and you took full advantage of it. And I mean, look where you are now, right? So
Absolutely.
it's awesome. That's awesome is the only word I can even use. That's incredible. Do you have any stories you'd like to share, funny or maybe even not so funny, about your time in service so far?
Oh man, I have 20 years and I have a ton of stories. I mean, I came in as a deck senior.
Pick a good one.
Well, I mean, I have a bunch of kind of like little short stories. One of the best opportunities I got was to work with the Army SF and MPs out of Okinawa after doing a 5-week stint at the hospital there. I was offered the opportunity to leave the hospital due to my outstanding bedside manner. While I was working with the SF guys, they had lost the medic downrange, and so I was able to do a little bit more with them than just in garrison stuff. We were out at the range one day, and they were doing demo work, demolition stuff, and they pass stuff over and they start talking about the charges that we're making, and I have no clue what I'm looking at. I'm a E4 with maybe 3 years in at this point, and everybody's making stuff, and I'm just kind of like looking over their shoulders, making everything, how they're making it. Apparently, in hindsight, it's a good thing I still have count to 10 without taking my shoes off. And about 3 months later, we were talking, and one of the sergeants who had just got through the SFQC, so just became a Green Beret, was like, "Okay, I have to ask you, Mac, how hard was Buds?" And I was like, I don't know. I heard it's pretty hard. He goes, "Well, I thought all SEALs had to go through Buds," and I was like, "They do." He's like, "But you're a SEAL. That's why you're working with us." I was like, "Oh, yeah, no, I'm not a SEAL at all. I haven't even been through field training." And he starts freaking out because I'm in a room that was supposed to be like cleared for the SF guys and everything. And he starts trying to sanitize the room. And one of the sergeant first classes was like, "Guy, calm down. Mac's already been in here for going on 6 months. Sanitizing it magically now isn't going to save anything." And one of their demo guy is just there with this look on his face. And I was like, "What's up, Charlie?" And he goes, "Everything makes way more sense. You had no idea what you were doing with those explosives, did you?" And I was like, "No, I was looking at the guy next to me, hoping that I didn't blow anything up." He's like, because that's one I haven't heard. Another real quick one I like. We were in country. This was when I was with some small boats, the Riverines out of Little Creek, and we had a guy. We had just got rocked, and we're trying to medevac him. He just had a broken arm from everything. It wasn't like urgent. Luckily, it took me about 5 extra minutes to turn him over because every time I would give him his name, they were like, "No, we need his name, not his call sign." Well, his legitimate legal name was Legion Jester. And they just keep yelling, "No, his name, not his call sign." Finally, I dug through all of his stuff, and he had his ID buried so that it wasn't easily lost or found. If anything had happened, we could dump it if needed. Funny enough, his call sign was Bob. I mean, if you already have the name Legion Jester, what do we call you? Yeah. Hey,
your call sign is, you got to come up with something ridiculous for your call sign at that point.
Yep. And I know you said one or two, but the last one that I wanted to bring up was part of a 3-month operation where our unit was able to take part in recovering, at the time of action, Lieutenant Commander, at the time of recovery, Captain Specter. He was shot down during the first Gulf War, and in 2009 we were able to locate where they had moved his body to and return him home. The POW MIA mission had always been something that was special, but it is now extremely near and dear to my heart, and probably one of the proudest things I've ever done in my entire life.
That's awesome. So you mentioned, I've heard the term Riverines before. When I was down in Virginia, there was a group of them that I'd hung out with like for a weekend, but I never got around to asking them like what the heck is a Riverine exactly? Tell me, what is a Riverine? Like, what the heck is that?
Well, so now the Riverines are back to being just Special Boat Team 22, and that was not what we were when we were the Riverines. We were reestablished for the first time in 2007. Reestablished for the first time after being decommissioned after Vietnam. We were a small boat unit that used boats similar to Special Boat Team 22, except we added armor to them, so we went a little slower. We had some variations, and we didn't have all the spec war training. But at the time, there was a need for us with the Tigris and the Euphrates there, the islands, trafficking and up and down the rivers. The special boat teams were overburdened with the actual special missions, and we kind of they weren't bad missions, but the ones that the special warfare guys were like, yeah, we're too cool for that. We'd be like, hey, we'll pick up your trash so we can go do some jobs. And we had the opportunity to work with some SEALs. We also had our own ground combat element, RST, Riverine security teams that we go ashore with and everything. But our boats were pretty cool. For the most part, we operated with one of two different types of boats. One had 3 gun stations, one had 5. The one with 3 would transport our RST folks. We could do about 40 knots, give or take, and they were jet driven. So in one boat length, we could stop dead cold in the water. And in 1.5 boat lengths, we could do what was called a J turn and be going 40 knots in the opposite direction in about 1.5 boat turns. So the boats were really cool. Now doing those E stops and J turns were very violent. The guys got bounced around a lot, but it was probably some of the best guys I've ever served with.
That's cool. I'm just imagining like an armored boat, tugboat size thing, just doing like drifting in the water as they're trying to like make turns, like all like Fast and the Furious and stuff.
Well, there's some pretty good videos of us out there doing some cool stuff at Lake Haditha, just north of the Haditha Dam. Some cool stuff of us out on the rivers and everything. It was a lot of fun times. I can neither confirm nor deny if we ever tried to use a backboard like a surfboard off the back. But if we did, it would have been really fun. We definitely never stripped down our body armor and curled up like turtles and see how far we could skip each other off the back of the boats.
I don't believe anybody would have ever done anything so irresponsible. Never. No. So you're active duty. You've done over 20 years at this point, and you still founded the Goats Charity Athletic Club, right? So holy crap, like you're active duty, and so you still found the time to do this. So tell everybody what is the Goats and how did it get its start?
All right. Well, so overall, we're a group of active duty and veteran military and first responders that come together in various activities of esprit de corps to raise funds and awareness for really any cause, but we're rooted in military and first responder mental health. One of our co-founders is a suicide attempt survivor. He's a great guy. He's a little bit more quiet and in the background of everything that we do, but he still gets out to some of our events. Originally in 2016, I think it was, we came together to, we were going to do a hockey game against the Coast Guard to raise some money for a buddy's kid who was active duty, but his kid had cystic fibrosis. The Coast Guard told us that they were going to bring their club team. We put together a ragtag group of guys. It was mostly Navy based, so we thought it would be really cool to put the Navy crest on the front of our uniforms, which, by the way, are trademarked by the Office of Naval Research. And I got a call from a 06 full bird captain telling us to cease and desist and destroy our uniforms. Otherwise, we were going to have the full wrath of the Navy come down on us. We were able to get them to back off a little bit, but we had to kick anybody that wasn't active duty or honorably discharged Navy off of our team. So there went all of our first responders. Already downtrodden a little bit, we show up to the game and the Coast Guard goalie is still in his dress uniform because he was a academy player for the Coast Guard Academy, not one of their club players. I think it would take about 3 of their players to add up to the age of any one of our players at the time. We got defeated. I think it was 0-7. We only had 1 player get ejected, but he did pick up 2 of the cadets and start banging both of them up against the boards at the same time. And we ended up raising, even after ice costs, I think it was just around $4,000 for cystic fibrosis.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
But the financials and everything of it were it was a nightmare. We realized that if we were going to do anything else, we were going to need new uniforms and everything else. And I was like, starting a 501c3 can't be that hard. I don't need these books and all these other things to tell me what to do. Took me about a year and probably about $1,000 more than it should have. But eventually I established this as a 501c3. And that's how we became the Goats. And so we turned from a ragtag bunch of misfits to a ragtag 501c3 group of misfits that ended up playing for all sorts of stuff. And we've grown from just a hockey team to now we have cyclists, powerlifters, Highland athletes, a term I just learned today, which was jujitsu, I think. So somebody that practices jujitsu. I didn't know what they were actually called. And a couple of other folks that just kind of do some other things. And we've moved out of doing just sports to making sure that we get out and are active in the community. And we chose the Goats, a little bit because me and the co-founder are both part of the Goats Locker or the Chief's Mess. I don't know if I can actually say that. If you look on our website, it's we're part of the Goat Locker. If you don't know what that is, hit me up SepCorps separately so that I can explain off of the record so that Navy doesn't come after me again.
You don't want the wrath of them again.
And then overall, though, because we aren't limited to just the senior enlisted, we take any ranks. The Goat works out because those bastards eat anything and just keep going. Just like us, we'll chew up life, digest it, get rid of the excess, and keep going.
So you mentioned the Highland Games, and it was something that for whatever reason, I don't know why, I was kind of like, you know what, I want to do that. And I think it was probably because of the other event that we're working on putting together that we're not going to go into. But can I show up to a Highland Games event with my Stars and Stripes kilt, or would that get me kicked out just because it's not a like Highland Games? Obviously, is an Irish Scottish type event, and if I show up with a Stars and Stripes kilt, am I going to offend and upset a lot of people who are more traditional?
Nope, absolutely not. We have people that participate in all sorts of different kilts, rainbow kilts, traditional kilts. No one up in New England, but there is a thrower out in Ohio that actually competes in a full traditional kilt, like all 9 yards, which I would just die and overheat. Kilt's a kilt when it comes to the Highland Games.
It's good to know because I was gonna reach out to some of the organizations because I'm a member. I think the what is it, like the New England Highland Games, the Facebook group or whatever it is, and I was gonna ask, but I didn't want to get flamed out about showing up to something like that with a Stars and Stripes kilt and have people be like, "What the heck is this dude doing?" Obviously,
No,
there's tradition involved with that event, so I didn't want to mess with anything cultural on accident.
no, you'll have to let me know which games you're going to show up to. I'll make sure I make the trip up for those.
I gotta make sure my back is okay first. I'm pretty sure Sarah would look at me like you're broken, and I'd be like, yeah, but I can break myself more and have fun doing it. Like, so obviously you're mentioning all these things that the goats are a part of. Do you guys have any stories of any of the favorite things that you and your group are super proud of?
So overall, the biggest thing, it's not really like a story. It's so most of our guys have seen and taken part of some of the worst things in humanity, whether it's our first responders or our active duty, and just being able to kind of give back. The last 2 years, each year we've raised over $10,000 to be able to redistribute to various organizations like Irreverent Warriors, Veterans Equine Therapy Services, Healing Hoofbeats of Connecticut, Canines for Warriors, Cystic Fibrosis, Catch a Lift, Needs, and other various programs. And that's all what we raised beyond getting our athletes. The Heroes Cup, which I'll touch on briefly here a little bit later, is one of our biggest fundraisers. And so that $10,000 that we redistribute is beyond what it's taken to put our athletes into all of the various events if they ask for sponsorship into them. Not a story, but again, like we're super, super excited about the relationships that we have started with Healing Hoofbeats of Connecticut, the Heroes Cup, the Irreverent Warriors, of course, Dames for Soldiers, with support from the Ledgered VFW, the Groton Chiefs, Barbo Heathens, who's also done some events with us, Bear Iron Forge, Absolute Bearing Coffee, and other various private donors that have all resulted in testimonials like, and these I wrote down so I didn't forget. I'm here today because of you. Knowing I would be able to get on the ice with you guys in a year was the only thing that kept the gun out of my mouth. As someone living a sober life, I've never felt so included with a bunch of degenerates like you, and so on and so forth. And so not stories, because I think most of them are better told in person, but just a little bit of some of the thoughts that come across when people ask, hey, what do you guys do?
And you guys do a ton of stuff, man. Like, yeah, I mean, you list all the groups and that you guys are associated with, that you support, that supports you guys. It's so much, and that's why, like, it's just amazing, that because you're not the only active duty guy in your group, and so the fact that you guys are active duty, you're service members right now, like that is your full-time gig, and you're doing the volunteer work and stuff like that on the side and having a huge impact in the communities wherever you guys are at. You're down in Virginia right now, and I know that you're making an impact down there as goats down there. You're not so much spreading the group and making the group bigger or anything like that, but you being down there and you getting involved and getting other people involved with what you're doing down there is phenomenal. You mentioned healing hoofbeats, and that made me smile because at the hike a couple of years ago, you guys had donated $1,000 to them, and it was because I wouldn't shut up about about the organization and the fact that I went and I did their immersion course that I was talking about it, and then you guys are like, we're going to donate $1,000 to these guys because Eric won't shut up about them. And that was really funny.
Yep, and they're now one of the groups that we give to annually. Operation Warrior Horse through them is just such a great program.
Yeah, I know I personally donated for their bales of hay, so they can feed their animals. And I was telling Renee recently that I got to get up there so I can cuddle their pig because they got their pig, and I want to cuddle the pig. I got to talk to Renee because I want to see, because I think you'll like this. Because they have the goats, and apparently they travel with those goats. So I'm going to try to see if they can't bring the goats out to the Silkies hike in some way, shape, or form. I think that'd be kind of fun, adorable. And we'll have goats, and then the goats can play with the goats.
The guy was going to say goats with the goats. Let's go.
Right. So all that. How did you guys get involved with IW, and why did you even decide to get involved in the first place?
So we were looking for things that we didn't necessarily have to coordinate ourselves, but would still be good to get out. And I don't remember who it was. Trying to remember, but one of the guys brought up that they had gone to the Silkies hike the year before, and that that year's one was coming up, and we should check it out. And I was like, you know what? That sounds like fun. Who could pass up an opportunity to throw our swag on, throw some short shorts on, and hike around with some crusty old vets? So we got a small group of us together. At the time, we were all wearing purple shirts with the GOATS logo on it and everything. And I know that for a little while we were referred to as the purple shirt folks. And a lot of the herd's first responders, but they were super excited about us, the veterans, being able to go out there because they understand that even though we share a lot of the same principles and a lot of the same experiences, that military life and first responder life at the end of the day does have some small but impactful differences, and sometimes it just takes vets to be around vets. And so we showed up. It was a blast. Not a single one of us was disappointed. And there's this charismatic dude that kept yelling at us to stay on the sidewalk, which we did mostly, and then started chatting with said gentleman, and we linked up on social media and started showing up to things he was advertising. And well, here we are. And there you are as the charismatic gentleman, both words used loosely. If you remember, I said I have a GED, so maybe those are the wrong words for a crusty old man, but
so I guess I crusty old man is probably relevant. I am old, I guess. I don't know. I'm only 42, so I don't know what old is anymore, but everybody tells me Sarah tells me I'm old. So I guess I'm old.
I'm the same age as the old people. Now I'm scared.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I only have a few more years before, like, then you hit that 50, the halfway mark, and then, like, it's downhill from there. But I already feel like I've been going downhill for like 10 years. This is a bunch of nonsense. and I gotta say that yelling at you guys now. I've got the veteran motivator, the paddle. So I've got extra tools to make sure that you guys do stay on the sidewalk. What talking about the hike and getting you guys involved, do you and your group have a favorite story from your experiences with IW or the Silkies hikes?
Oh man, you're just throwing out all the hard questions. Like, hey, let's choose some favorites out of something that just has so many great experiences.
I want to hear yours. I mean, and this is this is important stuff, man.
So again, I'll probably take a little bit more leeway than you were going to give me. I'm going to tell two quick stories.
You're fine.
One of them was chasing Sully around because he would not stay on the sidewalk. Matter of fact, he barely stayed on the path that particular walk.
Didn't he go to CVS or something like that when we were at Epicure? Like he totally wandered off and on his own little side quest.
He walked off when we were at Epicure to CVS to pick something up. And then between Epicure and the end, he went like 3 blocks over because he needed to refill his backpack with hydration.
Oh, we love Sully.
But there's another one that will always stick with me. I think it was 2 years ago. Brain's not always great on the timelines, but we were about 3/4 of the way through the hike, and I don't remember whether he dinged his shin or his knee or whether it was his arm. One of the hikers, busted some skin a little bit, and there was a little bit of blood, and that was just enough to put him over the edge. He just lost it, full breakdown. There's the different packs of hikers and the kind of back half, and a couple of the guys from the front who had heard what was happening came back. We all came together. We surrounded him while at the same time giving him space. We let him vent. We let him cry. We let him tell us to go away. We never did actually go away, but we gave him enough space, and we kept moving forward, figuratively and literally. We did everything that you hear our groups preach about, and we all made it to the end of the hike. I was going to say to the finish line, but the journey's never over. We just redistribute who's carrying the load at various times, and watching everybody come together and take that veteran and support that veteran was golden. And that, while there's a lot of awesome stories from the hikes, that was one that will always stick with me.
And all I can say is thank you. The hike, the leadership and the medics and everything that we have, they can't be everywhere all at once. And so when something happens, the family that IW is able to come together and pick up and just make sure that everybody's okay. And that's one of the reasons why I love the organization so much, and I love the communities, because regardless of who's where or who served where or did what, whatever branch, whatever age, everybody is there for each other and supporting one another. And you guys exemplify that. You guys will care for anybody, and it's always appreciated. You guys. I know that if you guys are on the hike, it's going to be a good damn hike, regardless of everybody else and whatever else is going on. The goats, when the goats are in force, man, it's going to be a good day.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So you were talking about Heroes Cup and Highland Games and cycling. Talk to us about the Heroes Cup. I know there's other stuff that you guys are involved in, but I know you guys are involved in that. So talk to us about that a little bit.
All right. So Heroes Cup started, I think it was 2017. Again, Brainhausen Group rattled a little bit, so it might have been 2018. It was a 40 team tournament up in Marlborough, Mass. They have 8 sheets of ice up there. So 40 teams sounds like a lot. We were actually sharing it with another tournament. That tournament happened to be the Boston Bruins alumni tournament. And one of the players was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" We kind of told him, "Hey, it's Heroes Cup. It's all a bunch of military and first responder teams." The next thing we know, the next year, we're being sponsored by the BFIT, Boston Bruins BFIT Foundation. I think the next year was 60 teams. We are now, last year and this year, 110 teams. It is the largest adult hockey tournament in the U.S. I think it might actually be the largest in North America, but I'm going to just keep it to the U.S. because those Canadians do some crazy things up there.
You don't want to piss them off when we get into hockey, man. That's sad, man. That's almost crossing the line.
Yeah, we might have the goats, but when they come riding in on moose, I don't know what we're going to do.
You got nothing.
So all 110 teams, each team's only allowed one civilian. So everybody's veteran or active duty, military, first responders. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday tournament. Again, like I said, up in Marlborough, Mass. BFIT, Boston Bruins BFIT, and then, Last Call Foundation, when they've been doing a whole lot of cancer awareness along with mental health. They're shifting to a little bit more of the mental health stuff because they figure that that also still covers cancer prevention and awareness, because if you have cancer or might have cancer, mental health is clearly still an aspect there.
Right. Yeah.
And just awesome. You've got military teams, firefighters, police, mixture of them, correction officers. And it's a wild time. People camping out, people staying at the hotel right across the street. Thin line service dogs from Tennessee come up with their Goldens, and they'll even go out on the ice sometimes, get some photos. There's usually about 4 sled hockey teams there, which is awesome to watch. And when you get up to like the A level, there's some fighting, or if you get down to the D level and make it to a goats game, there's this big goon on our team that looks kind of like this, that spends a lot of time in the penalty box. But it's usually, for the most part, all in good fun.
When is that this year?
This year it's going to be June 7th to 9th.
And you guys get a team? You guys are going up?
We are going up right now. We're still looking for some players. Matter of fact, my alternate captain, who's been a cornerstone of the team, just found out that he's going to end up having to deploy in place of somebody else that wasn't able to perform their job. And so we lost him. We had a guy get picked up for a special warfare program who had to leave the team, and a few others. So we're still looking for some players, but we'll definitely have at least enough to ice a team.
Gotcha. I know I'll probably have to make my way up there and hang out for the day again and hang out with you guys, because that was a lot of fun last year going up there and watching. I used to play hockey when I was younger, and if I had the time to learn how to skate again, I'd come up there and I'd play with you guys. But
I mean, you've seen me on the ice. You don't need to know how to skate.
You say that until you actually have me put ice skates on. Although I will say that I went. So Sarah, one of her friends, had her husband was doing a birthday party. We were up in Vernon at a roller rink. We went to a roller rink, and I don't roller skate. The 4 wheels have to be inline, because I used to play roller hockey and ice hockey when I was a kid, and so I told them I need rollerblades, and I was like, if they don't have rollerblades, I'm not going out there on this floor. I'm gonna die on roller skates. And so I went up there, and they actually had rollerblades rentals, and I was like, oh sweet, and they had my size, and so I went and I laced them on, put them on, And then Sarah was going to help me get up, and I stood up, and I immediately started like rollerblading backwards and doing all kinds of goofy stuff. And I was like, almost like 20 years had just flashed before my eyes, and I was like a kid again. And it was, I didn't miss a beat. So it was a lot of fun. But as far as ice skates, ice skating is a different animal, and I'd have to get my hands on some skates and see if I can even move out there without breaking my ass, because that would just not be fun. But I know Bob, I think, and the Worcester IW team is gonna have, they actually should have a tent up there this year, pop up, so they should be up there hanging out and doing the IW thing. So I'm gonna have to make sure that I go up there and hang out for the day and hang out with the Worcester team and the Goats.
It would be a good time.
Absolutely, it always is. I love hockey, and love you guys. So it's just that's win-win. Like, you get to watch hockey and hang out with the Goats. Like, come on now. Are you guys doing any recruiting for your organization? Like, if someone heard this interview, watch this episode, and they wanted to find out about more about you guys, like, or they wanted to donate, like, how would they go about doing that?
So we're on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, we're at goats_khaki, CACI. Facebook, if you type in Goats Charity, there you go. You can find us, message us there, or our email is goatscaci@gmail.com. So GOATSCACI@gmail.com. And we're always recruiting hockey players. Again, hockey players, cyclists, powerlifters, Highland athletes. But we are open to anything. If you have something that you want to go out and do and raise money for, and you need a platform to be able to raise that money, we'll work with you on figuring out whether or not it's something that we can support. And generally, all that we ask is if you're doing the event with us, that you're sharing it on your social media and you're wearing some of our swag and spreading our message while you're doing it.
Awesome. I know that we sharing your stuff on social media and everything. And but yeah, so I mean, if you guys are listening to this out there, guys and girls, you want to do athletic stuff and get involved, man, look the Goats up and get involved. They're a great organization, great group of people. You're gonna have a good time. I promise you. Last question. If anybody's listening to this and they haven't heard of Irreverent Warriors, or they've heard of us but they haven't yet kind of pulled the trigger, what's something you would tell them? What advice would you give them about coming out to a Silkies hike?
Well, because I'm shameless, I would tell them to get on our social media, pick up a pair of our awesome Silkies, and get their rear out to a hike, like right now. Like, hurry up, get there, hurry up, let's go. No. Really, find IW online, find a hike that works for them, right? Because there are IW hikes all over the place. Find some comfy clothes, break in your boots now. Don't wear a pair of brand new boots. Show up well hydrated and show up with an open mind, and get ready to not be disappointed with one of the finest organizations bringing the best group of ragtag misfits together, because IW brings veterans together using humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and prevent suicide. But you got to show up for it to work.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it any better. You heard Mac. He said, hurry up, get out there, hurry up, get out there, and hurry up and stay on the sidewalk. That's just, and I can't claim that. Like, the whole get on the sidewalk was a Doug thing. And he's the one who kind of started that whole thing. I've just carried that torch afterwards. And then, like I said, now I've got the paddle to help emphasize. So we're carrying that spirit on. Well, I think that about wraps it up. I do got to say that the work that you and the rest of the Goats have done out in the community all over the place is absolutely just awesome. And now everybody that has listened to this will know exactly what it truly means to be a goat, greatest of all time, as well as the animal who just eats everything and just takes a lick and keeps on ticking kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything else to say, man. It's been an absolute pleasure having you out here. Want to thank you. That's Mac from the Goats Charity Athletic Club for spending some time with us today. Thanks a lot, Mac. We really do appreciate it having you here today.
Well, thanks for having me and letting me represent the goats.
Absolutely. And thank you all for listening, tuning in. Be sure to share this whole thing far and wide so we can bring a little bit of humor and camaraderie to anybody who might listen. Make sure you guys look up the goats and hang out with the goats. Come out to an event that they're supporting. Yeah, that's about it. So until next time, stay irreverent, my friends.